Hey there, Mr. Loma here. I thought I would do one of these power rule practice questions, just like the quiz is going to be, and we'll see how it goes. Now, what we do know is that in order to do something with the power rule, we have to form everything that we have into a polynomial where each term is like ax to the b, like something x to the something. So that's what our first step is going to be here. We're going to have to redo this in a form that we can actually manage and use the power rule for. So first of all, anything on the bottom is going to become a negative exponent like that. Please try and use good form with this too. It's really annoying to mark when people are half taking the derivative of various terms. This is going to be 3/5, and then we're just going to put the x to the fourth out here to make it easier. This term is going to cause a few people some problems. It's actually the square root of a half. So what we're going to do is literally pull the 1 that's in there and the 2 and the root out in front. And then we're going to have x, and the exponent on the x is a half because it's being square rooted. So it's a little bit tricky there. So make sure you can do that. This term, we're going to have to expand this. So what I would recommend we do over to the side is, or maybe even up above, remember that you're doing 2x squared minus 3 times another 2x squared minus 3. So when we expand that, the biggest problem people have is they forget this negative sign here, which is very important. I'm going to highlight it here. Okay, watch out for that. Okay, so when you expand this, you get 2x squared times 2x squared, which is 4x to the fourth, but it will be negative. Okay. When you do these two terms, you get negative 6x squared and another negative 6x squared. So that's negative 12x squared, but it's reversed because of that sign, positive 12x squared. And again, negative 3, I'm not sure which cursor you can see here. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9, but we have to reverse the sign again because of the negative, so it's negative 9. So those are three terms ready to be differentiated. For the fraction, we remember that we can actually do it in three pieces. Since there's a single denominator, a monomial down here, we can break it into three chunks. So we will do that off to the side. And once again, we're going to remember there's a negative sign out in front. And spoiler alert, I always put the negative out in front to see who's paying attention. So put that like that. And when you have that, you can simplify each of these terms. In fact, I have a bit of room here, so I'm going to do it. I believe this is going to be 2x, and I believe this is just going to be 3, and this is going to be 1/2, be careful here, x to the negative 1, because the x is actually on the bottom. Okay, and don't forget that we have a negative sign there, so that thing is going to affect all the signs again. All right, so what we actually have here is negative 2x plus 3 minus 1/2 x to the negative 1. It's our side work over there. Okay, now we have it in the form that we can do the derivative. And so that's what we're going to do. And this quiz is out of 10, and you're going to see why in a minute. I think it's out of 10. We shall see. So first we run into this term at the beginning here, and I think you'll see that it's fairly straightforward. Negative 8, when you bring the negative 2 down, times 4 is negative 8, and then you reduce the exponent by 1. Be careful here. 5 pi by 8, this is a constant, so that's just going to be 0. This one, the 4 comes down and multiplies by the 3/5, so that ends up being 12/5. Of course, the 4 just multiplies by the top. It's like 4 over 1. And now the exponent drops to a 3. This one over here, like I said, causes a lot of people grief. They feel like they need to do something with the roots and everything, but you don't really have to. The half comes down in front. The 1/2 under the root stays there. And then you just reduce the exponent by 1. So half becomes negative a half. And then next we have negative 16 x to the 3, because we took the 4 here times the 4 in front and reduce the exponent by 1. A bunch of these terms aren't too bad here. plus 6x from this term, minus 0 from that term, minus 2. Some nice easy marks here. You don't have to write the zeros, but I do so that I can see I haven't missed a term by accident. And that's 1/2 x to the, sorry, I hit my eraser button by accident. 1/2 to the -2. And this would actually give you 10 out of 10, I think. Let's quickly grab a highlighter here. Let's pick pink. And I think we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 marks. Good. The only thing I would say here before I sign off is that you want to be careful. Some of you won't see it right now, but you'll definitely see it in the future. I believe I wrote F inverse there. I don't know if that was just a glitch of my pen, but that should be a prime symbol. F prime of x. And I would take anything with a negative exponent and put it back on the bottom. So 8x cubed minus 12/5 x cubed plus 1/2 root 1/2. And of course, there's other ways to write these. This one here, the x goes to the bottom and it's rooted. So it looks like that. Since we're just cleaning this up, I might as well make it as clean as I can. So we see here that we have a root on the bottom. And we also have an x on the bottom that's being rooted. So it would actually look like that, I think. 1/2 root 2x. But again, that's just cleaning it up. But more importantly, you're getting the x. Right now, when you look at this, it looks like if x is 0, this is equal to 0, but it's not. It's actually on the bottom. So it's actually infinite at that point, which is a huge difference in calculus and everywhere else. Having $0 or all the dollars is very different. So there's plus 6x. These terms are not a problem. And then minus 2. And then the last term here, the x goes back to the bottom and becomes an x squared. So there you go. And I hope I got them all right. Haven't lost any signs. The biggest problem people will have is the little nitpicky details like losing a negative sign or something like that. Anyways, I hope that helps. And I hope everybody got a big fat 10 out of 10 on that. Because it sure is easy to mark when that's perfect. Talk to you later. Have a nice day.